Hello everybody, and welcome to another one of our leadership training videos in which we learn how to improve your leadership skills, understand more about leadership traits, and of course grow your own ability to become a better, greater leader. Today we're going to talk about a topic which I'm sure we all love in many ways, which is recharging our batteries. Yes, we take vacation. Some are imposed by the company because there are certain companies who say in the summer between week X and Y, you've got to take your 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. In some companies, you have more freedom and you can choose where you go. And generally, maybe you go outside those major summer periods. Sometimes you go skiing in the winter perhaps, and in the summer you go to somewhere a little bit warmer, whatever it happens to be. Recharging the batteries. But I want to take this to a deeper level than just lying on a beach, sitting by the pool, having tequilas or whatever it is that you enjoy, and basically saying, let's get into a deeper level of thought around what recharging your batteries actually means and the importance of it in terms of your day-to-day life. My name is Chris Igwe. I have over 35 years experience leading, growing and developing teams across 5 major markets where I've lived, and equally across Europe, Middle East and Africa. Now in these videos, if you hear something that you want to comment on, please feel free to do so. Or if you simply want to like or indeed share, but please subscribe to the channel so you know when other videos are becoming available. Recharging your batteries. Now, you could say, look, I know how to do it. I'm fine. I don't need any advice around that. That's totally okay. But I would say, hear me out, and I can give you some deeper thoughts and deeper ideas as to ways in which the recharging of the battery can help you, because this is specifically linked to leadership. This is not just about life, although it is and could be, but especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a leader, if you're pursuing a career in a particular path, you'll want to understand a few more of these thoughts. So why do you need to recharge the batteries beyond the superficial level of getting some rest and so on? Well, you will want to do some internal reflection. You want to have some me time. Me time. Yes, in previous videos, I've talked about the fact that finding space to develop a strategy, a thought, a vision, but all those generally happen within a work environment. Or maybe you stay at home for a day or 2 days and work on those things. That's fine. But you're still not in a different state in terms of where your mind is, because you're still focused on day to day. Whereas on vacation, you have more latitude. You want to find inner peace. Maybe work is a little bit tough. It's challenging. You've got issues, you've got problems, whatever it happens to be. You want to find a space that gives you peace. You may want to, and you should, review your leadership style. If you look back across many of the videos that I've shared with you in these leadership training aspects, what leadership styles are you missing? Have you not thought about? Do you need to enhance your leadership skills with? You'll also want to be mapping out where you go next. Now this of course could be your personal mapping out, where do you want to see your career go in the future, or it could simply be mapping out where your business is going over this next year or 3 years or whatever. You'll want to reflect on the team. How's the team doing? Who's working well? Who's not working well? Who could be promotable? Who could be demotable? Who could be fired? Who could be hired? Reflecting on the team. Where is the team today? How is it working? And then you'll be assessing areas for improvement. What improvements do you need and should you be making? Not just in terms of the team, but in terms of maybe, again, your leadership style and various other aspects. Equally importantly, considering the mistakes that you have made. The others as well, because that will come as part of reflecting on the team. But what mistakes have you made? Did you go left instead of right? Did you not do this and you did something else? What is it? And then you'll be looking at opportunities for growth. Opportunities for growth for both you and others in the team. So that's why it's important that we're not just talking about lying on a beach and chilling and relaxing, which is all very important, but you're looking at what it is that you need in order to grow, what it is you need to find your own inner peace around the things that you have done. You'll also want to look at, no doubt, succession planning. And that's an important part as well, which you can't really do, again, if you're in the office or you've got a lot of stuff going on around you. So for example, when I left a company, I was European Managing Director for a couple of years, and my job was done and I needed to move on. And I told my boss, and he said, well, that's great, but we need to plan the future. And so we put in place a succession planning roadmap, which I went away and thought about, and we found the individual interviews and so on, the individual who should follow afterwards. So that wasn't immediately. So what does your succession planning look like? Especially bearing in mind that you're not going to be, I assume, you might be, in that job for the rest of your life. And then you reevaluate the daily priorities that you have as a leader. So these are all the things that you do when you're relaxing. So you may say, okay, that's great, Chris, but I've got young kids. I don't know how we go on vacation. The idea is to spend time with my wife, my husband, my spouse, my partner, whatever. And I don't really have the time during vacation to do that. Well, here's a very simple thought. Why don't you discuss it with your partner, your spouse, and you say, look, I need a couple of hours every day, every second day, you decide, or you need an hour every day, whatever it happens to be. Would you mind looking after the children whilst I just spend this quality time dealing with what I need to deal with? Once you have that level of understanding and trust, it's okay. And if he or she needs the same thing, you can change the roles around and do the same afterwards. So it's not impossible to do. It's a question of effort, and it's a question of organization. Now, when your kids get older, you don't have that same challenge, so it's less of an issue. And because I've got 4 children, and we've been through that entire phase. When I had major leadership roles, I was already firstly without children and then with children. And it's the same thing. I remember we were in Lisbon on vacation, and I got a call from the European MD. I had to present a very important project, in fact 3 of them, to San Francisco. And I only had a window of a couple of days when the CEOs, chief execs, and chairman, whatever, were going to be around. I was standing there in Lisbon Zoo making a phone call. The kids took a picture, still have it today, of me making a phone call whilst I had to organize this trip. Or in our small apartment where I was doing conference call, preparing for that trip, and my wife had to keep the kids quiet for at least an hour and a half, which was very, very difficult for her. They were young kids, and yet it was achieved. So it can be done, but it requires your partner or spouse to be on board to do it. So think about the ways in which it can happen. But like I say, this is not about a superficial, let's go to the beach and enjoy ourselves. It's how do you want to improve your leadership skills? Because the key question you have to ask yourself is very simple. Are you wanting to be an average performer as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a manager, if you like? Are you going for average leadership, or are you going for exceptional world-class leadership? It's your choice, it's your decision. But for me, average has never, ever been a part of my vocabulary, and never will. I'm either going to max it out or I choose not to do it. I remember when I used to play football and I was on the A team, and I made it very clear to my trainer when I was living in Switzerland. I said, listen, just so we're clear, again, setting boundaries, I will not sit on the bench. I was a good player and I knew it. I will never sit on the bench, so don't ever think of putting me on the bench. He wasn't very appreciative of the idea, but he understood and he never put me on the bench. I always want to be on the pitch, and I always want to play full out and max out. So this is the area I want to play in. If you want to play an average performer, that's okay. I'm not criticizing. I'm simply saying you make your choices based on those decisions and those actions. So here are some suggestions and some ideas when you are in this moment of being in the zone, as it were, where you are quiet, you're reflecting, you're going over different ideas. And again, because I always share what I have done, and you can extend these, extrapolate them, come up with your own ideas. But I would read personal development books. I have an incredible library of personal development books. It could be from the great writers, the great authors. It could be Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, in terms of great authors. It could be As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. It could be Dale Carnegie and How to Win Friends and Influence People. It could be Mark McCormack, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. Just to give you some examples of those kind of books that really take you to a whole different level of thought and preparation. At the same time, it could be others, less well-known authors. Read biographies and autobiographies to get a feel for how leaders or people who achieved things did so in their life, and what can you take away from that. Obviously, you can meditate or you can do yoga, all of which is, like I said at the beginning, it's about stilling the mind. It's about giving yourself peace, but it's also about having the right mindset and the right attitude in terms of what you want to do. The other thing, which to be honest was not really available when I started my leadership career, was watching motivational videos, or indeed listening to podcasts, or even watching movies that inspire. Now, all of those of course are available on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, it's all out there, or Netflix of course. But find things that are going to make your mind work in a way in which you're finding a path through the jungle of leadership. The jungle which is exciting. You find many exciting things, you build a great team, you drive the business forward, but you need to have that moment when you can literally recharge your batteries. And one thing, another example which maybe can work for you, again, because I traveled a lot, 3 to 4 days a week regularly, but I needed my space. And what I agreed with my wife is that I would be able to go away on weekends. I'd take a long weekend once in a while. I traveled to somewhere in Europe because I traveled so much, I had air miles, and back in those days, hotel points. So I would travel away, although today, quite frankly, with low-cost airlines and Airbnb and other ways, you can still bridge that gap. But I would go somewhere for a long weekend just to think, to plan, to meditate, to strategize. I'd go to a beautiful hotel just on my own. Now, friends would call me crazy. They go, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. That's fine. I'll do crazy any day so long as I'm on my own path, not somebody else's path. I'm not living somebody else's life or somebody else's dream. It's my dream. So I go to these amazing places, Relais Chateau, and I'd have to dress up, tuxedo and everything else. Yeah, I did it for the max, to the max. So I go there, sit down on my own, have a wonderful meal, but I'd always have my notebook. I'd take a couple of books that I would want to read, but I'd always have a notebook to write down what's working, what isn't, what do I need to do next, where do I want to go, strategizing, thinking, developing, growing. So whatever it is that you can do in your life, I suggest you figure it out, integrate it, talk to those that love you and you love them, and find a way to navigate this path so that you can become even better, to become an exceptional, if not world-class leader, manager, human being, if you like. I do hope that this has left you with some thoughts and ideas. As I say, I try to remain really practical and foundational in what I share. So if you like or enjoy anything, please feel free to comment, share, and of course subscribe to the channel, and we'll stay in touch and continue these videos. Thank you.